Thanks for tuning in. Classic Camaros trigger nostalgia in so many ways. You can find these cars in movies and comics, driven by action heroes. In this video, we'll discuss some of the rarest Camaros you'd like to drive but may never see up close. Number 10. 1967 Chevrolet Camaro Indy 500 pace car. Not many car geeks, especially in the 21st century, have had the chance to see this legendary Camaro in person, making it our prime choice for rare Camaros. Chevy launched the Indy 500 pace car in 1967 as its entry into the growing pony car scene. The Indy 500 pace cars were mostly used as festival cars, taking dignitaries and drivers around Indianapolis during the Indy Speed Week festivities. The 1967 Chevy Camaro Indy Pace's most common models were equipped with a big block L78 motor, one of the Chevy's popular engines producing 375 horsepower and 415 pound-feet of torque. If you were behind the wheel during the 51st Indianapolis 500 race, you would enjoy the engine and the 4-speed manual transmission response. The car could pull from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 6.7 seconds and knocked a quarter-mile drag strip in 14.8 seconds at 101 miles per hour. Built to prove Chevy's innovation in the racing sector, the 67 Indy 500 pace car couldn't have done better without the performance-oriented suspension system. The suspension included heavy-duty springs and shocks, which made it very easy for the car to maneuver through the twisties during racing events. Number 9. 1967 Chevrolet Camaro Z28 Pensky Trans Am Racer. The Z28 label has been affixed to some of the hottest and most desirable Camaros ever for over 5 decades. For the 1967 model year, Chevrolet went another way with its Camaro when manager Pete Estes put his idea of a version of a new Camaro to compete in the SCCA Trans Am series. The 67 Pensky Trans Am Camaro was produced and turned out to be a quintessential aspect of Camaro's racetrack reputation. Chevy's engineering for this beast for pro racer Roger Pensky to ice the competition didn't disappoint. It came stocked with a 5.0-liter V8 engine, producing 440 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. It was mated to a 4-speed manual transmission that helped to spring from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 5 seconds, which is faster than the stock Z28. On the drag strip, this car revealed pure madness by finishing in 12 seconds at around 115 miles per hour. The Pensky Trans Am suspension was heavily modified for racing, including stiffer springs, shocks, and sway bars that made handling easier. The car also featured a lower ride height and a lighter weight than the production version, thanks to the removal of non-essential components and the use of lightweight materials wherever possible. Chevy engineers equipped it with front air dams and a rear spoiler, which enabled it to resist wind drag during the race. Number 8. 1967 Chevrolet Pilot Assembly Camaro. These first Camaros were handmade at the Norwood, Ohio plant in mid-1966. Chevrolet made only 49 units as part of the pre-production process to train the workers and test the assembly lines, tooling, and manufacturing procedures before full-scale production began. The Camaro's engine was linked to a 3-speed manual transmission and was a great car, considering it was made to bring the Chevy Camaro to market and ensure the units were ready for consumers without major issues or delays. Due to their limited numbers and historical significance, Pilot Assembly Camaros are highly sought after by collectors. Unfortunately, only a few exist today, and they often command high prices at auction. One of the well-known examples was sold back in 2022 for around $167,000, but word has it that private sellers are currently demanding over $200,000. Number 7. 1968 COPO Camaro Z28 Convertible. The 68 Z28 Convertible was a hand-built, one-out-of-one situation designed for one of the higher-ups in Chevy's management. Engineer Vince Piggins designed the only Camaro Z28 Convertible COPO to convince Chevrolet head Pete Estes to approve new parts for his Z28 Camaros. Piggins needed approval for the front and rear disc brakes, a performance suspension package, and a modified intake manifold, among other features. Fortunately, the plan worked. Pete preferred convertibles over coupes, therefore Piggins ordered a regular 1968 Camaro Z28 via the COPO system modified for Pete. We'd all love to drive this rare car and experience the power of the 302 cubic inch V8 built to compete in the Trans Am series. The engine pumps out 290 horsepower and 290 pound-feet of torque, the advertised details, but it's believed actually to produce 350 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque instead. Number 6. 1969 Berger Double COPO Camaro. In 1969, a dealership in Berger, Michigan figured out that they could special order Camaros with souped-up specs and sell them to customers. So the Berger dealership ordered 58 of these double COPO Camaros, custom with a 427 cubic inch V8 engine that pushes 425 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque. The engine was mated to a 4-speed manual transmission that enabled the car to pull from 0 to 60 miles per hour in around 5 seconds. On the quarter-mile drag strip, the car finished in 13 seconds at 110 miles per hour. Looking back at the 1969 double COPO Camaro, you'll note its looks aren't too flashy, but the performance was excellent. Berger boasts power front disc brakes and tuned suspension with heavy-duty springs and bigger sway bars. These models are valued between $114,000 and $269,000, and considering there were very few, the price may even be steeper if you're lucky to find one. Are you ready for our top 5 rarest Camaros ever made? Be sure to like and subscribe, which helps us create more automotive content. Number 5. 1969 Chevrolet Camaro SS RS. The 1969 Camaro SS RS is one of the most recognized Indy pace cars in history for its white and hugger orange paint scheme. The SS means Super Sport, while the RS means Rally Sport. Chevy only manufactured 2 Camaro SS pace cars used at the Indy races, but there were also 43 festival cars, 75 VIP cars, and a few thousand replicas built. In total, 3,675 replicas of the 1969 Camaro pace car are floating around, and we'd love to drive any of them. These 1969 Chevrolet Camaro SSRS packages had a 396 cubic inch V8 producing 375 horsepower and pound-feet of torque, mated to a 3-speed manual, 4-speed manual, and 3-speed automatic transmissions. The vehicle could spring to 60 miles per hour in under 7 seconds and finish the quarter-mile drag strip in 15 seconds. The SSRS packages created a visually striking look with distinctive hideaway headlights. The upgraded suspension components ensured the driver handled the vehicle with ease, making it a standout model that epitomizes the muscle car era. Number 4. 1969 Chevrolet Yanko Camaro. The Yanko name has been associated with Chevrolet models since Don Yanko, a Chevy dealer, started modifying Corvairs and selling them as track-ready cars in the 60s. He eventually modified Camaros and found success with them after the limited production specialty cars rolled out of the factory. Yanko placed the potent 427 cubic inch V8 from the Chevy Corvette into the 1969 Camaro. The engine produced 425 horsepower and 425 pound-feet of torque, making it a perfect fit for the model. With the engine mated to a 4-speed manual transmission, the car could pull from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 5.4 seconds. On the quarter-mile drag strip, the vehicle couldn't disappoint as it finished in just 13.5 seconds at 105 miles per hour. A tuned suspension enhanced the car's performance. It featured independent coil springs and heavy-duty shocks at the front and leaf springs in the rear. It also had 15-inch rally wheels, disc brakes at the front, and drums in the rear, which actually amplified the stopping power. Yanko designed only 201 units, 171 of which had 4-speed manual transmissions, while the rest featured 3-speed automatic. It was no surprise they are still going for around $350,000 for a top-condition example, but that's a fair price for something with this much history. Number 3. 1969 Chevrolet Camaro SS Baldwin Motion LS7. Baldwin Motion, located on Long Island, was a Chevrolet dealer and legendary tuning house in the early big block V8 era. This one-off, specially made by Baldwin Motion for a single customer, is one of the meanest and wildest Camaros first generations ever for the streets. Actually, Baldwin Motion made around 2 or 3 454 Camaros, but truly speaking, they never replicated this one. Under the hood was a 7.4-liter 454 cubic inch V8 producing 525 horsepower and 600 pound-feet of torque. This massive engine was mated to a 4-speed manual transmission, and it claimed to be the fastest and most powerful of the first-generation Camaros. The car could pull from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 4 seconds and finish the quarter mile in 11 seconds at 120 miles per hour. The Baldwin Motion LS7 has become a legend in Camaro enthusiast circles because it was highly customized and extremely valuable in today's collector car market. In January 2024, it was listed at auction and the bidding reached $750,000. Number 2. 1970 Chevrolet Camaro Z28 Hearst Sunshine Special. Another rare Camaro we'd love to get behind the wheel of is the Z28 Hearst Sunshine Special, manufactured in 1970. Unfortunately, only one unit was built exclusively for drag racer Richard Jesse, making it harder to see it on our roads. This model is a legend, as before Jesse could even race, Hearst tapped it as a prime candidate for experimental performance upgrades. Under the hood was a 350 cubic inch V8 producing 360 horsepower and 370 pound-feet of torque. The engine was mated to a 3-speed automatic transmission that could help move from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 6 seconds. On the quarter-mile drag strip, the car could finish in 14 seconds at approximately 100 miles per hour. The 70 Z28s were already stylish, with a low dash, bucket seats, and a fat steering wheel. Hearst's Sunshine Special stood out by featuring bucket seats, a crank-action retractable fabric roof, and a newly designed automatic shifter, which allowed the transmission to switch between a generic drive mode and single gear for burst driving. Chevrolet borrowed Jesse's Z28 to test the aerodynamic efficiency of the front and rear wings intended to be used on the Trans Am Racing Series. It also painted the vehicle yellow and added black racing stripes. 3 Hearst Sunshine Specials were built, but only one unit owned by Mike Ryan of Spokane, Washington, exists today. Number 1. 1970 Chevrolet Camaro SS L78 396. Chevrolet introduced a brand new Camaro that was wildly different from its predecessor in 1970. Its shape was more aggressive and curvier, but the performance was also superb, with upgrades to the chassis without mentioning the motor. The motor was a 396 cubic inch L78 V8, producing 375 horsepower and 415 pound-feet of torque. Chevy ensured the engine was paired with a 4-speed manual transmission, enabling it to pull from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 6 seconds, and finish the quarter-mile drag strip in 14 seconds at 105 miles per hour. The 1970 SS L78 396's distinctive split front bumper and round quad tail lights are complemented by a driver-focused dashboard, which evokes feelings of being in a cockpit. Chevrolet sold tens of thousands of the SS models in 1970, and only 600 buyers picked the L78 396 V8. The models disappeared in the following year, making them a rare sight today. Thanks for watching. Which of these 10 rarest Camaros is your favorite? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to click the like button and hit the bell icon to be notified when we release new content.